I felt defeated, I felt lost, I felt hopeless. I just wanted it all to end. There was nothing that could keep me except God.
Simply Michelle, simply Michelle. You're watching her on YouTube, and you know she got a vibe for me. She got a vibe for you.
I'm a firm believer that if you are able to overcome any struggle in your life, that is your testimony. Life has its way of making us go through a lot of twists and turns and can be an emotional roller coaster. 2024 was a very challenging year in my life, and I just wanted to just do a recap and reflect on where I am and where God has brought me and pulled me from. Without His grace, I don't think that I will be sitting in front of this camera today. When you're going through a trying time in your life, when the enemy tries to destroy you and attack you, it's so hard for you to hold on to your faith. We as people, we want immediate results. It's not the way it works with God. God shows up not when we want Him to, but He's always on time. 2024, I felt like I lost people close to me. I struggled financially. A lot of things that were piling up, and they just all led to me falling into a deep, dark depression. I didn't realize that I was depressed until I noticed that I wasn't doing certain things, and I was laying in the bed longer, and I wasn't showering as much, and I wasn't really getting dressed like I should. And every day I woke up, it felt like the same exact feeling. I had to literally force myself to get up to do something. Constantly just crying. There was a lot of things and a lot of factors that led me to falling into that depression. It happens to the best of us. Stress is inevitable. It's gonna be there, but it's just what we do with it and how we process our emotions. It's a real dark place for me. I couldn't shake it. The more I prayed, the more I was being attacked. The more the enemy was like, you know what, you doing that, I'm gonna come this way. Are you trying to dodge me this way? I'm coming that way. I felt alone, having to deal with all of these different things and nobody really understanding what you're going through. I didn't feel like I had anybody at this point in my life. I was like, what is the point of being here? Is this what I'm here for, just to be miserable? I just wanted the bleeding to stop, if that makes sense. I would journal and I would write my thoughts down, hoping that releasing those negative thoughts, I would feel better, and the next day I just felt worse. Crying after crying after crying, not eating, unsure of who I was, and not knowing if I was gonna even see the next day. I felt like I hit rock bottom. My mental health was literally just suffering more than it has ever, and I just wanted out. I wanted to stop feeling what I was feeling, and I was like, you know what? I don't even care anymore. Day to day, I'm just gonna take a ride in my car with nobody to interrupt me, just me and my thoughts. I didn't even get dressed that day. My hair was a mess. I wore oversized sweats, oversized sweatshirt. I didn't care. I looked like hell. I just got in my car, and as I was driving, I had a purpose. I had a goal placed where I was going, but I was very indecisive if I should go there because I knew it wasn't a place for me to go, especially in the dark place I was in and as vulnerable as I was. I got in my car and I started driving anyway. Tears were just flowing and I was talking out loud. I was crying, I was screaming, I was yelling. I'm pretty sure cars were looking at me on each side. I didn't see anybody. I just was lost. A whole hot mess, honestly. Got to my destination, and I sat in my car for 2 minutes before I got out because I was just like, this is going to be it for me. How is this going to end for me? Am I sure this is the way I want it to end? I was all over the place. I go inside. It's a big place. There's a lot of people in there, and I didn't want to see anybody. I wanted it to just be me and what I was going there for. I had to make a little conversation with some of the staff there, and I was asking questions and trying to put my best foot forward, not looking like I was in distress. So I made sure to put my mask on because I'm a crier, and when I cry, it shows. So I didn't want to alarm anybody and just make myself look like the target. So I got it together. I'm trying to put my best foot forward and act like I'm happy. And so the guy's explaining certain things to me about what it is I'm looking for and what I'm asking about, and I'm having all these nervous feelings in my stomach. My stomach is in knots and my thoughts are moving rapidly because a part of me is like, just get in and get out. And the other part of me is like, you need to go. Like, why are you even here? But the enemy got the best of me. I couldn't hear God's voice anymore. I no longer heard his voice. I just heard the enemy. And he was leading me to a path of darkness. After I do what I go there to do, I see this man, and it was weird because he looked at me, and at first I thought it was a little creepy because I'm just like, he gave me like the googly eyes, and I'm just like, not today. All right, not today. I'm not in the mood. I look like hell. Like, why would anybody even be looking at me in this state? Like, I look and feel lost. And when he looked at me, he smiled, gave me a smile. Mind you, I had a mask on. I looked like, who did it and ran. It almost looked like I was about to go fight somebody. He smiled at me with one of the biggest smiles. And so when he smiled at me, my first thought was, well, you're weird. And then my second thought was, maybe he sees me. This is a nice man. So I smiled back. But of course, I don't think he can tell I had a mask on. But your eyes say it all, right? So it didn't dawn on me. I just kept on doing what it was that I came to do. So I stayed in the place for a good 45 minutes to an hour. Upon me getting ready to leave and check out, this man appears again. He's literally right there. He looks at me again, and I try not to look at him because I'm not in the mood. I had a motive. And he makes conversation with me, and of course I don't want to be rude. And he asked me how my experience was and how I liked it. Long story short, we started to talk, and when I looked at him, the second time I actually looked at him. The first time I just looked more so through him. I didn't want to make conversation with anybody or eye contact. This time I looked at him, and when I tell you, it was like a ray of sunshine. Like, I literally looked at him. He had a light. He had a light shining all around him. This is the part where I try not to get choked up. I call it divine intervention. I tell you, God is real. Before I knew it, time was going by, and I knew I had to go. It was about 30 minutes had passed, and we were still talking. The conversation felt so good. It felt so comforting, and it was just a little bit to nothing. His smile was so bright. His light was so bright, and I got a warm feeling around him. And all those dark, negative thoughts that I was thinking of, things to do and things that I shouldn't be thinking, they started to just disintegrate. They were slowly just removing themselves from my thought process. And it just was like, what is this? I say all that to say, sometimes when we feel alone and we feel dark and we feel like there's no getting out of our situation, God steps in and he intervenes. He will intervene in your life when you don't even think there is a chance of things turning around for you. God that I know, the God that I serve, will come and disrupt what you have going on. Sometimes he will shake you to make you see that what you're doing is not the right thing to do. And I feel like this man was a vessel in my life when I felt like I was not going to be here anymore. God sent this man in this place to save me. To save me. I didn't feel like my family could help me. I didn't feel like I had the proper support system. My kids couldn't help me. There was nobody that could help me during this time of my life in need but God himself. And God will put people around you. He will sometimes make it seem like things are going so bad for you to show you that what you're doing and how you're living is not right. If he is not the center of your life, if you don't put him first, he will make sure that you do. But there'll be times and situations where you have nowhere to run but to him. God will intervene in ways where you have no choice but to listen to him, so that we can see that it is not our way but his. And when I tell you, won't he do it? He will do it. Because the place that I was in was, nobody would be able to really tell. And when you're suffering in silence and you're facing depression, you can't see depression. I mean, people will give you signs, but you can't feel somebody's depression. This man was sent from God. It's unbelievable. The conversation, the message that he gave to me. This man is a God-fearing man. On top of it, like, the things he was saying, it was almost like he knew what I was going through. And it just blew my mind because I felt like odds were against me. My back was against the wall. I was just hurting in ways that I just couldn't put into words. It was just heavy. And I say all that to say, when you are feeling like there's no way out, when you feel like everything is against you, you have nobody. You need just a little bit of faith. Faith as small as a mustard seed is all you need for things to change in your life. And when I tell you, I haven't felt the same since that day. Even walked me out to my car, and I've not felt that feeling since I met that man. God will use people to help us, to save us, to show us certain things, because sometimes we don't want to see things. There's things that are right in front of us that we just don't want to see. there's always a message. There's red flags, and sometimes we just turn the other cheek because we don't want to face it. We don't want to accept things for what they are. I knew that I needed help that day. I didn't want to accept the help from anybody. I had my mind made up of what I wanted to do, and God said no. God had other plans. You are a child of God. He will always keep you safe. We all have angels with us. He kept me. He kept me from doing something so awful by using somebody else to put him right in front of me. Even when I didn't want to be bothered, he put him right in front of me. I had no choice but to interact with this man because his light was so bright and it was so warm and it was so welcoming that I gravitated to it. I gravitated to his spirit. God was using this man to speak through to me, to save me from what it was that I was about to do or wanted to do. Oof. We get so lost that we forget that we're never alone in situations, and I have to continuously remind myself, even when it feels like nobody's there for me, God is always there. The best part about it is there's no restrictions. You can talk to him anywhere, anytime, any place. You don't have to wait. Like how sometimes we have to wait to get in touch with somebody we need, a family member, a spouse, a cousin, a friend. Sometimes they don't pick up the phone. God is always available for us, even when we're at our worst time. That's when he wants us to come to him. He doesn't care about success when you're doing your best. He wants us when we are at our lowest. He wants us when we're vulnerable, when we're feeling broken, when we're down and out. That's when he wants us to come to him the most. I felt like I was being resisted towards him. Like I would go towards him, but something was pulling me back. And that was the enemy just in my ear trying to stop me and get in the way of what God had for me and has for me in store for me. Most of our battles are not even ours. These battles that we go through, they're not even for us to fight. They are for the Lord to fight. We have to give it to him first. That's the first step of building a relationship with God, is remembering to give it to him first. Sometimes we use him as a plan B. He needs to be the first one that we go to with everything. God has it set up for us to need him, for us to seek him through everything, even when we think we have everything in control. You may think you have it under control right now, but there's going to hit a time where now you got to go right back to him. He's going to make things happen in your life where you have to go back. Feel like things are getting the worst that it could get. You better be prepared for a blessing. God is going to give you a blessing, but you need to be prepared for that blessing, and you need to keep praying to him. Not just temporary times, but all the time. Everything that you do, he should be included in all your plans, no matter what it is. Because he will give you what you need. And you fast from certain things, people, places, things that you know are not the best for us, unhealthy habits. God will show you things that you've never seen before. Take one thing out of your lifestyle, something that you know takes up a lot of your time and your space. You will see things more clear than you've ever seen. It's taught me that even during my most trying times, I can't give up because God always makes a way. He will make a way for you, and he will turn your situation around. If he did it for me, he can do it for you. He saved me from doing something that could have affected and impacted so many different people. That was a lot, because to be in a situation like that and to come out of it stronger than I've felt is just such a beautiful thing. And we're all going to go through different situations in our lives, and this probably is not going to be the last one for me, but I do know that the end goal is to see God. There's nobody else that was going to get me through what I was going through but him. Comment down a testimony that you have went through, something that you have battled, went through, but you came through it. If you guys enjoy, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in another upload.
Simply Michelle.